It's dangerous to podcast alone.
Welcome, listeners, to another side quest episode of Talk This.
Yeah.
We're here in Side Quest 4.0. Emma and I have our little news magazine format where we give you snippets, basically of previous side quests in a lot of ways, as previous side quest formats.
Yeah.
We give you a taste of what we've been playing this week, aka the adventures of Champ McDude most of the time. Our weather report, which is whether or not we think something's going to happen or we do something, which sort of goes back to our debate podcasts, I think. Off-Topic Corner, which is probably the newest segment, but also, if you really listen to Talk This, isn't every episode of Talk This Off-Topic Corner?
Pretty much.
Pretty much. Where we talk about something that is not related to video games or less related to video games than our standard fare. We have our traffic report, which is what's up on our website and blog and various social media. And then we close it with our question of the fortnight, where we answer a question fortnightly.
Yep.
So that's the side quest. Thanks for tuning in. We're happy to have you. We're glad that you've...
Thanks for tuning in was a weird phrase.
You're right. It did make it sound like we're done. All I meant to say was we're glad that you've taken a break from our main story to join us here on the side quest.
Yep.
So, Emma, what have you been playing this week?
Well, Madelyn, are you ready? Are you ready for my Octopath rant?
Oh, I forgot that there was a rant coming. You did warn me. Go ahead. I'm stealing myself.
So, everything about Octopath is great, except for the fact that it sucks. Okay, so here's the conceit of Octopath Traveler, if you have not heard of it yet. Octopath Traveler is about 8 travelers, hence the Octopath, who are each on their own journey of sorts, with varying different motivations, from Therian, who has been marked with the mark of a convict and has to go steal stuff to get it off of him.
That's very biblical, actually.
To Ophelia, who is like a member of the church who's going around doing like a pilgrimage, religious ritual. So, very different people. And yet somehow they travel together and do things together. Currently, Ophelia is helping Therian rob a rich person, so, you know? And there's no explanation for this at all. There's none.
Therian's thing sounds like the Mark of Cain kind of thing. So it's, it sort of makes sense that he would pair up with the religious chick.
But see, there's so much, I feel like there's a lot of potential here, and for, character interactions, like the Tales series. The Tales series never has the most interesting story, but part of the reason I like it, besides the local co-op, is, there's all these skits and character interactions along the way, which are fun. They're fun. And in this one, there's nothing. They're just, randomly together, doing things randomly. So, Therian's my protagonist, BT dubs, which means I can't take him out of my party, which means he's 7 levels higher than everybody else, which is interesting, but putting that aside, just what I'm thinking is, 1, he can't read a map, so he has no idea where he's supposed to go, so he's just sort of randomly wandering the continent. And nobody else in this continent understands sarcasm. So, somebody will come up to him and be like, hey man, my friend's sister got bit by this snake, I need to go get an antidote, and he'll be like, oh, I so want to help you. And they'll go, ah, shucks, that's nice. And drag him along with them. And he never learns that nobody understands sarcasm. So that's the story of Octopath Traveler. Stop being sarcastic.
It's tough to have the burden of sarcasm thrust upon you.
But other than that, I can't stop playing it, even though, by the time I got the 8th Traveler, I just wanted to skip the cutscenes. Because I was I cannot keep track of these 8 stories. And they're not even that complicated stories, but just weird to, have them all in my head. It's swapping between 8 games. But the combat system's really fun, so it's really addictive, and it's really beautiful. It's, old-style sprites in, a 3D environment, but, moving around. It's hard to describe, but it has, modern-day lighting effects and stuff, even though it looks retro. So it's a really, really beautiful retro game, essentially. And that 3D environments makes exploration fun because there's tons of ways they can hide little hidden paths in the environment. So it's always nice to find those. And there's a cool job system and lots of stuff. But I just wish it had a story that I cared about. And it's not like it's impossible to find ways to put these stories together. You know, like you said, it's the mark of Cain. You could, I don't know. You could make Therian somewhat religious and feel like he has to help Ophelia. Or you could have her really need help and him like saying, I'll help you if you help me, or anything. Anything. Just like put it in there and it would be 5 million times better already. But it just seems like they wrote 8 stories and forgot to connect them.
Well, you're describing this, and what it reminds me of is when I read the first 2 Game of Thrones books.
Uh-huh.
And eventually you start to remember who people are, but it's if somebody turns up for the first time in like half a book, in like 300 pages, it's like, I have no idea. And maybe the reason you're saying is because there is also someone named Therian in Game of Thrones. But yeah, it's like, I remember when I was reading those books, it'd be like, I would know what was going on within the individual story while I was in it, and if they encountered somebody else who I then encountered, I would know what was going on. But for a long time, I had a very difficult time sort of being like, who are you again? Like, where was this in the book? I have to go back. So it reminds me a lot of that.
But at least for Game of Thrones, like, things eventually converge a little bit.
Yeah.
You know? These, I skimmed a review. They do not come together at all. The credits play when you finish your protagonist's story.
Weird.
So there's no interlinking. Like, I would be fine if they felt like they could not put the other characters into the chapter 1s because you can do them in any order. Like, I can suspend my disbelief for that. But in chapter 2, like, where are all the other characters? Why are they just following this one person sneaking into a rich person's house? I don't know.
So you're saying it might have been more successful if it was just a more interlinked, like, pentopath traveler or something.
Yeah. You know, pick your protagonist and then find people along the way, but just have them acknowledge each other in some capacity. They can each have their own stories. I can put aside my disbelief that, like, people wouldn't want to do their quest as fast as possible. But just, like, have them talk to each other? I don't know. Like, I don't feel like that's that hard. There's so much flavor text in this game already that, like, adding some more does not seem like that would be too hard of a prospect. But honestly, it could have been like Quadrupath Traveler, because like the unique thing about each of these characters is they have a path action, which are really cool. So like you can go up to NPCs and interact with them in different ways. And for most of them, it's like the illegitimate way of doing it and the legitimate way of doing it. So like Therian steals things from people, but the merchant girl Tressa buys things from people. And the dancer Primrose like allures people to follow her, and the priestess Ophelia like guides people on her religious quest. So they're like the same thing, they're just like slightly different.
They're the same thing except they're slightly different.
Yeah, like, well, it's like stealing is like a chance of doing it, whereas purchasing you can always purchase, but it costs money. Allure is like a chance of doing things, whereas guide is like you have to be a certain level to guide people, but it's 100% chance they'll do it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, isn't it like this Girl Gamer podcast to be requesting better character relationships? We're playing right into those focus groups.
Yeah. But that's been my experience. We'll look forward to 15 thoughts in 15 hours, because that's how long it took me to do all 8 chapter 1s.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Anything else you've been playing, Emma?
Just that. I've only been playing that.
I mean, I guess you played 15 hours of it, so I don't know why I was like, have you been playing any more? I do know why, because I was worried about you. If Emma's been playing more, we might want to have a talk.
But what has been your save data these last 2 weeks, Madelyn?
Oh, I don't have very much save data. I've been playing so many video games lately, and then these last 2 weeks, I started a new internship. I had a show that I was producing that opened on Friday, so it's been very busy times here at Talk This NYC HQ. But let's see, what have I been playing? I finally started, not finally, exactly, I started Aqua's storyline in Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep.
Mm-hmm.
So we are working our way through that. It's a little weird now, because Clickway Boyfriend and I are both playing through Aqua.
He's caught up to you?
He's not quite caught up yet. He probably would have gotten further, but I fell asleep when he was playing last night. So, he's a few worlds behind me, but he has caught up.
Wow.
Oh, I know what I did this week. I watched Kingdom Hearts Recoded. That's not really playing a video game, but wow, what a mistake that was, folks. Waste of my life.
Yeah, pretty much.
But now Clickbait Boyfriend wants to watch it, because he's in too deep. He was very upset. This is a Clickbait Boyfriend blog spoiler, by the way. So you know how they are always like, Aqua, as a Keyblade Master, you're entitled to certain knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
There's no knowledge.
Maybe it just hasn't been revealed yet.
No. He's like, come with me, I'm going to tell you secrets. And Josh was so excited. He was like, finally, some knowledge. This game is going to make sense. I've been waiting for this. And he's just like, starts to be like, as a Keyblade Master, you've got wait a minute, fledgling emotions. Also, we're having some issues with the timeline and how time passes, but that's nothing new in the Kingdom Hearts universe. Yeah. Anyway, other than that, I played a little bit. Champ McDude hasn't had too many adventures, but we did a little bit of Champ McDude adventuring. We're about to go to Hawaii, although at Talk This New York HQ, we don't really believe anyone's going to Hawaii. Because there's a typhoon brewing.
G.
Why are you saying G?
I can't say anything.
I know.
I played this game.
I'm gonna be so disappointed, though. I was so excited to go to Hawaii and steal some Hawaiian hearts. Phantom thievery.
Uh-huh.
But we shall see. Maybe we will go. It's tomorrow. We're supposed to go. But,
we'll see.
And the days are red on my calendar, indicating I do not have to go to school. So
we'll see.
We'll see if we get to get all tropical and get some more animations of the girls in bikinis and the boys staring at them grossly. That is the one thing that's making me think maybe we do actually go, because it's a real opportunity, to just create another one of those, leering animations. Anyway, that's my save data from the week. Hoping to play more in the coming 2 weeks, because I've just not had very much time. But yeah, and how close am I to buying a PS4? Very close. If it had gone on sale and I realized I shouldn't be, that Amazon is evil, and I didn't buy anything during Prime Day, so I guess I supported the strike, but I did buy a bunch of stuff the days before, so I guess I didn't support the strike.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, if they had put the PS4 on the same sale that they did for the Xbox One, that is $230, I would have purchased it on.
Yeah. It's surprising. I was walking by GameStop the other day, and the Xbox One was cheaper than the PlayStation 4.
Yeah.
I guess just because it doesn't sell as well. But, it debuted $100 more expensive, so it was just, interesting to see that.
Calculation. Speaking of calculations, the weather report.
Yeah. So I guess this week's weather report doesn't have much of a percentage. It's more of a yes/no question. But in these past 2 weeks, I think sometime this week, there was a fan film put out of Uncharted starring Nathan Fillion.
Oh, I didn't realize it came out this week. I thought it was just we started talking about it because the Uncharted... I'm stupid, is what I'm saying.
They made a fan film starring Nathan Fillion. I watched it. It was pretty good. You could tell that it was not, as polished as, a full studio would make it, But, they got the feel and the characters seemed right. So this week's weather report is whether or not we would want to see Nathan Fillion in an official capacity of any sort as Nathan Drake.
Why did he do the fan film? Because
he really likes it. And he's been waiting for the Uncharted movie for 10 years.
So he's a fan of Uncharted.
And a director came up to him saying, I want to make a fan film of this. He was like, yeah, sure, why not?
I guess it shouldn't surprise me that Nathan Fillion is into video games, but it does.
Apparently he really likes the Uncharted games.
I really think of him as being like Captain Hammer in real life. So it surprises me that he likes video games, because it doesn't really seem like Captain Hammer has the brain capacity for it. I realized maybe if I'd watched Castle, wherein he plays like a fiction writer, I would feel differently. But I don't. I don't watch Castle. Have never watched Castle. Probably
well,
won't.
Nathan Drake is a pretty much just a slightly less grumpy version of Captain Reynolds. Mal Reynolds, that's his name, right?
He was also on Firefly. That's the real reason I shouldn't be surprised that he's into video games. Is because he's been in, like, Joss Whedon's, like, everything he's ever made.
Yeah.
Wow, that's going to be a running theme for this week. That just popped up in my head. But anyway, we'll get back to that. That's some foreshadowing for you, listeners. Stay tuned. Okay, so would I watch Nathan... It's not. This is hard because their names are both Nathan.
Yeah.
Would I watch Nathan Fillion play Nathan Drake? I feel like I'm not qualified to answer this, given that my experience with Uncharted is watching Emma be bad at it.
Yeah, I guess that's true. He's a little old for the part. He does not look like he's that old. Like, he doesn't look like he's particularly old for the part, but he is.
He's got to be like 50 now, right?
Yeah. I mean, he doesn't look 50. He looks like a little older than Nathan Drake.
He would be great as I'm about to retire Nathan Drake.
If they did Uncharted 4.
That's what I'm saying. But obviously we can't start there.
Yeah. I mean, the current movie that they're working on, quote unquote, is a prequel with Tom Holland.
Okay. That's interesting. I'm less interested in that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not that Tom Holland probably, like, he's obviously well cast for that role.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't really feel like I'm that interested in a Nathan Drake prequel. Like,
mm-hmm.
I know that he went to a boarding school and he's got a brother and yada yada. I just want to see him be a superhero explorer.
Well, I imagine, based on Tom Holland's age, that it would be slightly after the flashbacks that are in the games.
Of course. Yes, it's like him getting his adventurer sea legs, for sure.
Yeah.
That's a less interesting story to me than he's a great, I don't know. I want it to be more in the Indiana Jones line of things, where it's like, he's already good at this,
mm-hmm.
as opposed to, oh, we're gonna have a comedic montage where he fails to lasso his way across the chasm.
To be fair, that is a lot of Uncharted. Nathan Drake breaks things and almost dies.
Sure.
That's basically the Uncharted games in a nutshell.
That's true. But I don't want it to be like, here he is learning how to use a gun.
Oh, yeah, I guess so. No training montages in your Uncharted?
Just not interested in it. I realized it would kind of be an interesting... Maybe we could do it at the very beginning of the movie as like a tutorial. Like, this is how Nathan uses a gun. This is how he jumps.
Mm-hmm.
Here he is learning to walk.
He is learning to walk.
It would be funny if thematically completely inappropriate.
Mm-hmm.
No, I would watch Nathan Fillion as Nathan Drake, although I just don't... With everyone and their mother playing a superhero in Hollywood, I don't know if Nathan Drake has, like, the physique that his name isn't Nathan Drake. Oh my god.
Nathan Fillion.
I don't really know what, like, he looks like these days so much. But is he ready to do the physical training he would need to be doing to compete with all these superheroes?
To be fair, like, there aren't... I mean, I guess it's a movie, so they might add this, but there's not exactly a lot of gratuitous no-shirt scenes in the Uncharted games.
Sure, but I would want Nathan Fillion to be doing, like, 75% of his own stunts.
Okay.
You know?
So basically you just want Tom Cruise for Nathan Drake.
Honestly, Tom Cruise is completely physically inappropriate, but I do want that level of commitment. Can you imagine?
Because it would be like Mission Impossible falling type level stunts. There's a lot of falling in Uncharted.
Only if you're bad at it, Emma.
No, it just happens anyway. Also, if you're bad at it. But yeah, he's not a terrible choice. I think that the Uncharted games is one of the ones that might make decently fun movies. So it would be nice to see it get off the ground.
I feel like we've talked about this though, and I don't know necessarily what turning it into a movie really adds to the story for me.
Sure, it doesn't add anything to the story, but it wouldn't just be like, God, you know?
That's true. I just don't know that it cracks anything above, like, this is pretty good.
Sure, I'm not saying that it's not an Oscar winner, but it's a perfectly fun action-adventure type romp, and it's not... Like, they made Tomb Raider, and that was not great, but that's because Tomb Raider is very violent and awful. The one they adapted, anyway.
I get that. I'm
not awful like it's bad, like, there's lots of blood and, stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas Uncharted is a bit lighter.
I just mean to say that it's already a game that has, like, a pretty solid story, and just as if I was a filmmaker, I'd say, okay, so we're going to take this game that it's already got a good story, so great, it could be a movie, except we're going to take away the video game parts. So fans are going to come in and it's like, oh, look, it's a collection of my favorite cutscenes from Uncharted.
Well, hopefully you wouldn't take away the video game parts. People love gunfights.
I mean like the player agency parts.
Okay.
I don't know. I just think that people are going to come in and be like, this is cool, but it's not as fun as the game. That's my assessment. And that we're in this very saturated action film market. And if it's not a superhero, it's just going to be tough to compete. But I would go. Well, I would probably not go, but I would watch it on Netflix when it came out.
Speaking of Netflix and TV, for our off-topic corner, this is the age of the reboot right now.
Seriously.
Everything's getting a reboot, and everything is getting hate over being a reboot. There's a lot of, currently, this is not quite what we're talking about, but currently there's a lot of controversy online over the new redesign of She-Ra. So, you know, neat. I'm glad we're getting upset about a new costume, whatever, okay. But coming out of San Diego Comic-Con, apparently there's a Buffy remake in the works, but like a modern Buffy remake.
Who wanted that?
Probably a lot of people.
A modern isn't part of the. We've watched. How many seasons did we get through before I was too snarky and we quit?
I don't remember.
4? Definitely 3.
Yeah, I don't remember how many.
I think 4. Because we saw that season with her stupid G.I. Joe boyfriend.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we saw 4. I know you've seen more of them. But together, I think we saw 4. And, like, is it part of the joy, I feel like, is it's like, wow, those were clothes people wore in the 90s.
Part of the joy, by which Madelyn means ruining the experience for everybody else.
That's so rude.
Sorry.
Yeah, I was reaching the point where I was just like, I was hate watching it more than I was watching it.
Mm-hmm.
But even putting that aside, and that opinion aside for a minute, I don't know. Again, I just think that so many of those storylines only work because nobody has a cell phone.
Sure, but they wouldn't be, like, remaking it shot for shot.
No, I know that, but I just feel like shows like that, it's like it's gonna be a lot more difficult to sidestep the, like, there's gonna have to be something every episode that's like, I don't have any signal.
Or, you know, people just don't pick up their phone.
Which I guess is true to life.
Yeah.
Except that if I was on a vampire slaying team, and I saw someone on my vampire slaying team giving me a phone call, I would pick up my phone.
Okay, but you can write stories around that. There are still supernatural TV shows. They're still supernatural.
Okay, I know. I'm sorry. I'm fixating on that one detail. More what I mean to say is, there's like 10 seasons of Buffy and seasons
7.
of Angel. 7?
Well, Angel.
With Angel, yeah. Like, there's 7 seasons of Buffy and
5 seasons of Angel.
5 seasons of Angel. I don't want more of these characters. I realize it'll be modern and not the same, but it'd be one thing to be like, we're gonna create a new Slayer that exists in this universe, and it's another to try to sell it to me as a reboot. That's all. I feel like there's a lot of potential to create something new, and why would we call it a reboot? They're very white, you know?
Actually, the report said that they would probably cast a black actress as Buffy.
Excellent. Steps forward. Let's call her not Buffy. Give her a name that's not Buffy. How about that?
Yeah, I agree on the reboot fatigue. I have more positive feelings towards the show than you do, so I'm reluctantly excited about it. But, you know, it's always nice to... I mean, and again, like, there's so many TV shows that even though there's all these reboots, there's also, like, a bajillion new TV shows every year. You know? So... even though there is a bit of reboot fatigue, like, you can avoid them if you want and still find a ton of TV to watch. So, I don't really begrudge people trying to stand out in, like, a massive glut of TV by, you know, remaking series from the past and trying to market to that nostalgia, you know? It's hard to stand out. Especially when Netflix often just, like, if you're doing it for Netflix or any streaming service, they'll often just, like, dump you on there and hope that people watch it. So, like, you know, I don't begrudge that, really.
And that's fair, and there's plenty of shit. You know, I watched the stupid Gilmore Girls reboot, and if they reboot The Office, I'll be grumpy about it, but I'll watch it.
Well, those aren't reboots, though. They're just, like, revivals.
That's fair. Actually, for most of those, I would have been more excited if they rebooted it than if they just went back. Mm-hmm. Because everyone's way too famous for that stuff now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't really feel like Buffy is begging for a reboot. That's what I'll say. I feel like they ran out of monster rights. They ran out of stories.
What I will say about Buffy is that even going back to it now, if it seems very of its time, like, it was pretty forward for the time it was in. Even though, like, in hindsight, it has some issues with the way it presents certain issues, and some of its metaphors are a little heavy-handed. But I mean, like, it was a, you know, female-led TV show in the 90s, you know, with the action star being the female. So, like, I feel like bringing that ethos and trying to make it modern and maybe make it a little bit more thoughtful than it was, as opposed to just, like, shoving metaphors in wherever you could, like, there's potential there to try to make it something that's a little bit more something.
I know, but it's so campy, and that's like part of its DNA. And again, in this sort of age of, like, Jessica Jones and Black Mirror, I think that it's tough to hold on to that campy niche, because we all kind of expect our action heroes to be dark now. And while Buffy certainly got into some serious things, it was not dark in the way that we expect these shows to be these days, in the post Christopher Nolan era of action heroes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I will follow with interest how they decide to handle the show, but I think that leaning into that darkness would be a bad idea, but also I just think it's a really hard line to walk in 2018.
Yeah. Well, give us a snappy traffic report, Madelyn.
Snippety snap. Here we go. Welcome to the traffic report, where I tell you what's up on our internet presence this week. These 2 weeks, in fact. So, what do we got up here? What is today? Great. It's Sunday. So, on our blog, we got our latest edition of Split Screen. They're Gonna Kill Each Other. It's volume 4, where we recap My Hero Academia and Boys Over Flowers. There's some crazy stuff that went down in this watch. So get excited. It's pretty funny. And if you aren't watching along, that's okay. You can probably still enjoy our recaps.
Yeah. Volume 5 will be out tomorrow.
Yes, it will. Because today is Sunday.
Yes.
Also on the blog, we have Clickbait Boyfriend's final thoughts on Kingdom Hearts 2. It's been a long time coming, folks. Spoiler alert, he doesn't understand anything.
But there's no escape now.
Yes, but now he's completely addicted. I sent Emma a mini vlog that is not part of this that I took the other day, and he's in deep, folks. He's in really deep at this point. We've already started having discussions about how we're going to handle Kingdom Hearts 3 as he plays it. So that's going to be a difficult one to handle in January. It already is making me like, the blog, my childhood. Anyway, so that's everything that's up on the blog. Yes, we'll have another split screen coming up tomorrow. Clickbait Boyfriend, Birthday Sleep also coming soon, and Emma's 15 Thoughts in 15 Hours. I think we don't really have anything new up on the YouTube except for the Clickbait Boyfriend mini vlog.
Coming this Thursday, though, the new Play This will be out.
Absolutely, so keep your eyes peeled for that one. You should also follow us on our social media if you don't already. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Talk This Podcast. Funny memes, links to articles, our thoughts on games. Someday we'll do Instagram Live. Clickbait Boyfriend's getting really into Instagram stories, so maybe I'll have him lead our Instagram Live. And also in the coming week, I might have a Clickbait Girlfriend Portal vlog, guest written by Clickbait Boyfriend.
Wow.
So we'll see if that comes out. And I think that's the traffic report.
Beep, beep.
So, Emma, what is our question of the fortnight to wrap up this episode?
Well, sort of in honor of the Comic-Con that's going on right now, although that tends to be more TV and comic characters since it is Comic-Con. But if you could cosplay as a video game character, if we had time to ever do cosplay...
LOL. Or talent.
Yeah, or talent. What character would you cosplay as?
Do you have an answer? I need to think.
You know what? My hair is pretty much already ready-made for really any Square Enix character. All I really have to do is, like, spike it and maybe dye it, and I'm ready to go. So, anyone from Kingdom Hearts or Final Fantasy, I could really do. Who would I pick? I don't know.
I thought you should do one of the Persona people.
Oh, the Persona people. I don't know who I would pick from the Persona universe either. I guess Futaba, because I'm small.
She's small, she never leaves her room.
What about you?
Well, you know, throwing it back to childhood and Halloween, the original cosplay holiday, you know, I have cosplayed as Uka Uka from the Crash Bandicoot universe. So, you know, I'm tempted to be like, oh, I should be Neo Cortex. But that would take a lot of work to cosplay as Neo Cortex or like Engine or something. What other video games do I even play? Oh, I would cosplay as Kevin.
Oh, it's Kevin.
From Overcooked.
That would probably get you on some best cosplay lists.
Right?
Or you could get a dog, make him Kevin, and you could be the king.
That would be good. But I'd have to get my dog to be in a helicopter.
Yeah.
That would be good, though. I could be the Onion King, and Clickbait Boyfriend could be Kevin.
Yeah.
It
No,
wouldn't
don't do that.
It wouldn't be as cute as a real dog, but would reflect our real relationship.
All right. So let us know who you would cosplay as if you could cosplay, or if you have a particularly good cosplay, share it with us. I think cosplay is cool. I wish that I had talent, but also I don't because I would never spend that much time on it.
You should do it. It would be a good hobby for you. I'm Sojiro
hobby
here.
Alongside my 7 other hobbies.
You love cosplay? Oh, you're out of the room.
What? Anyway, next time will be a full episode. We are talking about some games.
Oh no.
What games are we talking about? Oh, we're talking about Getting Over It is our new game. And our old game is Something.
It's old, and it's a game.
check out the end of our last episode to discover what our old game was.
We know what the game is. This is just a ploy to make you go back and listen to our other episode.
Yes, that's totally correct.
And where can you do that? Why, you can do it on Apple Podcasts, on Google Play / the new Google Podcasts app, on Stitcher, on TuneIn, and on Spotify, plus in whatever other podcast directory you might be using. We're pretty much everywhere, and if we're not, drop us a line, talk to us at talkthispodcast.com, and we'll get ourselves up wherever it is that you prefer to listen to podcasts. So Emma already plugged next week's episode, so thank you for tuning in this lovely side quest week, and have a day that someday in 20 years somebody wants to reboot.